Wanted to record just a quick video essentially defining a compensable consequence. A lot of the time, injured workers will be talking to their doctors or talking to the QME at an exam, and phrases come up that you're just not familiar with. And compensable consequence and how other injuries are related back to the first one can often be an area of confusion. So let's go through a scenario. You got hurt at work. Let's say you fell down, you injured your back. That is an injury. The insurance company will say they accept it. So it's an accepted injury. Time is going on. You're treating for your back. And then as you're treating with your doctor, he gives you a lot of pain medications, and you start having gastrointestinal stomach problems. Those stomach problems can be a compensable consequence. It's a new issue. You didn't injure your stomach when you fell down at work. That injury to your back didn't immediately cause the problems in your stomach, but it led to the problems in your stomach because you were receiving treatment for the accepted back injury. Another example would be if you fell down at work and you injured your ankle, let's say. So time goes on, you have surgery for your ankle, the doctor gives you crutches, you're walking on crutches, and you're at home, and the crutch slips out from under you, down you go, you injure your other knee. So you didn't injure your knee when you fell down at work, you only injured your ankle, but that knee injury is likely going to be a compensable consequence because it stemmed from or was essentially caused by that first injury. Admittedly, usually it's an issue that has to go to the doctors. The med-legal examiners will need to address it. But an injury that comes later can be related to that first one. Now, admittedly as well, it may be completely a new injury depending on what happens. Let's say you were at work and you had to compensate for an injury to one wrist by using your other wrist more. That may be a new cumulative trauma. Or it may be a compensable consequence of the original injury. That will have to go to the examiners. But let me read a couple of quick definitions from the courts because the labor code doesn't spell out what a compensable consequence is. But let me read a couple of quick definitions to help spell it out. So a compensable consequence is a secondary incident which, although perhaps a new and distinct injury, is not new and independent, but rather the direct and natural consequence of the primary incident. Another court explained it as being, since the original injury contributed to the second injury and operates as an efficient cause of it, the second is a consequence of the first injury. The employee would be entitled to protection from such consequences. The thinking going, you wouldn't be walking around on crutches if you hadn't injured your ankle in the first place, so the knee injury shouldn't really be your fault. That should go back to the workers' compensation claim. Or with the injury or the incident example I gave earlier to the back, if you're taking a lot of pain medications and now you have stomach problems, those stomach problems aren't due to something that you did. They really do stem back to the fact that you were injured at work when you injured your back. So that's a compensable consequence. It's essentially a new injury, but it was caused by the original injury. A lot of different ways they can come up, whether it's a new injury, so you injure another body part, whether it's from treatment because you're taking too many medications, whether some sort of error by the doctor. Let's say they go in and do surgery on the knee, but then they cause additional damage to the knee on accident, but that's still a compensable consequence. If you have new problems, you develop MRSA or an infection after a surgery, that would surely be a compensable consequence. Other issues can follow as well. Psychiatric injury can be a compensable consequence to an orthopedic or a physical injury. So that's compensable consequence in a nutshell if the doctors are talking about that, or the doctors are talking about a sequela, because that's something that follows to that first injury. That's a compensable consequence. Generally, the insurance company will be liable, and generally, the med-legal examiner will need to address it.